Hey, what's going on, YouTube? This is Cam here today, bringing you my first ever YouTube video. Today, I'm just going to go through my thoughts on how the crypto market's going right now, go through all my charts, and I'll answer the question everybody wants to know: has Bitcoin topped? So I guess we'll start here. Always start with the bigger indices because, as I'm sure most of you already know, Bitcoin follows the higher market caps, the S&P mainly. And right now, on the S&P 500, it's coming back, testing this higher low. Currently breaking it, but only by a little bit, so it's relatively holding here. It looks pretty good for a continuation here. A big sign to me is if we come down here, we fail at the bottom side of the range here, which would start the move down. It would test the higher low here, and it'd probably come back up to retest the areas up in here. If it failed that again, then it would be looking to do something probably like this, because we have an untested range here to here. Currently, this has already retested all these higher lows. So in my opinion, coming back down here to retest this does not look good, especially because we've already come down here once. So failing here kind of confirms the failure for continuation downwards. Ultimately, though, if you zoom out on the weekly and the monthly, we'll start the weekly. You'll see we've come down, we're holding the higher low here. Everything looks perfectly good for continuation, and the monthly just is going straight up. So everything looks good on the higher term time frames on the S&P, which means that generally crypto should be doing good as well. As more greed comes into the stock market here, that greed kind of in turn goes into more risk on assets, one of them being cryptocurrency. Something that also tells the tale there is the Russell 2000. Generally, the Russell 2000 is kind of the sign that breadth is being opened up during that time for risk on assets. Now we'll hop over to the VIX here. This is the volatility index for the S&P. What you can see here is that when we come up into this high range here, it's COVID crash, tariffs, whatever it may be, but these are times of extreme fear. Cryptocurrency, if there's a ton of fear in the stock market, people are going to be selling their crypto. No one holds on to the more riskier asset when the safer asset is not doing well. So, whenever the S&P is dumping, and we saw this with, tariffs, we saw this huge spike here, which was when the tariff crash came in, and we did see Bitcoin dumping like crazy during this period. As you can see, we don't really come up and test these ranges very often. So once we have a time of very high volatility, then it usually simmers out for quite a long period of time. So you can see right here, last time we were up here, it was 547 days before it got close up to here, and then another 500 days, and then another 1,400 days. So you catch my drift here. Likely not seeing a very high period of volatility for quite a bit, I would say, on the S&P. Obviously, we are getting into these ranges here where you'd expect some kind of little pop off, maybe comes down here, something like that. But nothing to be too concerned about at this point. So just more odds saying that we're going to continue up for the stock market here in the short term. And we'll start with Bitcoin, what everybody came here to see. So Bitcoin, in my opinion, I've had this chart on my TradingView for quite a while now, but I'll give a little bit of explanation. So first off, whenever you make a new high, you're always looking for a reversal. It doesn't matter what time frame, right? Come down, made a new high higher than these highs, came down, rejected the bottom side of the range here, which was the local level that took you down to make the low that took you up. Rejected that, fails there, comes back, tests the bottom side of the range, continues the failure, comes back, tests the bottom side of the range, continues the failure, right? And now we're kind of in the decision point because we've held this spot here quite a bit, which I'll touch on in a second. But now you can see, like fractally, it's trying to turn its way around. And right now, it came down, and if you go in the 4-hour, you can see this better here. But it's currently holding the higher low. We came back, made a new high, failed here, but we're still holding the higher term time frame trend here in the higher low, which means that either A, will get rejected here at the first rejection, or we'll come back, reject here, and then go down, or we will just break through this level altogether, come back down, probably retest it, and then head up. I would say this would be the next place to test before we hit here, but honestly this is a range here, so it'd be a box. I'm just going to keep it there for now. So what I think is more likely in the immediate short term, to be honest, I think we're probably going to come down and test this. This is going to get broken. In my opinion, I think that's more likely. And the reason why I say that is because we've built such bad market structure here. And some people might be saying, what do you mean it's bad? We've came down and held this same level so many times. Like, this is great, right? No, it's bad. The reason why it's bad is because if there's a big dog who needs to get his order filled, and the way he can do it without getting, minimal slippage is he comes down, he spoofs the books up here, says big order, we're going down. So everybody starts front running this guy and shorting, and the price goes down. And this guy had no intention of actually executing his order if it came up there, right? He's just trying to scare people to stay down. Okay, so price comes down. Now it hits this level. Okay, everybody has viewed this level as support for so long, right? So what happens? If we go through this, people are getting stopped out like crazy here, right? And not only that, but people who are scared, who viewed this as support, are closing their positions. You have a bunch of people closing positions. You have a bunch of people getting liquidated or stopped out. And when they get stopped out, it's going to go on the market as a sell. So now if this guy is trying to buy with a huge order, right, he needs somebody to be selling to take the other side of his trade. Okay? And now there's a ton of sells flooding the market. So he's able to fill his position easily without minimal slippage. And then you'll see a level of absorption come through, and he is able to send it up. Does that mean that it's going to go up for sure? Does this guy, is it one person? Is it a bunch of people? Obviously, it's like-minded people seeing this. And also, you have to see the absorption, on the volume. Usually, there'll be a huge volume uptick when you have absorption like that. But ultimately, I think this will end up failing. And I think if we break that, it can come all the way back down to here. And the reason I say here is because we have an untested range here, right here. And it's, been pretty significant. This is also the level that started this move up. So yeah. I think it'll come down here, test the bottom side of this range, and if you go and check the weekly, you'll see, which I think it's on the monthly here, yep, on the monthly you'll see this is the top side of this range too. So technically we could come all the way back down here, and this would still be bullish if we held this, because we're just holding the higher low, right? So the market structure is still fine on the higher term time frame. weekly, we're still holding higher lows. Everything looks good for continuation right now. Does it have to come down here and take this level out? No, of course it doesn't. If you look back all the way to when the tariff stuff was happening, what did we do at the very bottom here? We literally made the worst market structure ever. We double tapped the same spot and we never even came back for this. You know, it doesn't have to happen. Um, it's just higher probability. And obviously, when you're trading probabilities. You're not trading. You know, nothing is certain in the market. Anybody who tells you something's happening 100% is just lying to you, or they just don't know what they're talking about. Um, so yeah, I don't think we have to take this out. I think it's just more likely that we do. But in the event that we don't, coming back and going here is going to be extremely bullish, and this is going to flip this trend back around, in my opinion. So overall, Bitcoin higher term time frame could expect a little bit of a dump. That's okay if it does. Higher term time frame, I think we're still going up here and we still look good. All right, ETH. We've done very similar things to ETH. As you know, ETH and Bitcoin are very similar assets. ETH is just a little bit more volatile and more short friendly. And the reason why shorting ETH and longing Bitcoin has been such a big thing for so long is just because the pressure from altcoins, right? If ETH is not doing good, altcoins are not going to do good. So, yeah. As you can see here, I'll go to the 4-hour so you can see it a little bit better. But we had a high here, made a higher high, came back, took one more leg out, or you could even call this the retest here because of the wick, and we failed. First failure at the top side of the range. Okay, come down, try to hold. Are you seeing a similar with Bitcoin here? You know, try to hold the bottom side of the range. Try to hold the bottom side of the range. Comes back, pumps a little bit on the bottom side of the range. Ultimately, pressure is downwards as it hits the bottom side of the range here, and fails again. And then tries to gain here, makes a new high, fails again. So nothing about this looks bullish here on the short-term time frame. And now it's just kind of in here fucking around because Bitcoin's also just sitting there fucking around as well. But ultimately, I think Bitcoin's going down. I think ETH's going to go down too. The level to gain here, I don't even have it marked on my chart currently, but yeah, I mean, this is the last level that took you up to make this high here. So I think if we gain this on a daily time frame here, it's going to start to look good for, you know, continuation here to at least come back and test this failure again. And you'll probably test more of the top side of this failure since it's already tested. Or even this, because right here, this is an untested range here. You know, something like that. But it's one step at a time. So, like that for now. So ultimately, if you look at the weekly and the monthly, it's always good to zoom out here, boys. You see that it still looks extremely bullish, right? We could come all the way down, test the top side of this range here, and we're just holding higher lows. Where you're going to see things start to get scary is if we come down here and we start breaking this. If we break that and then we confirm it here, it starts to actually look bad. Right now, we're not doing that. Nothing to worry about. If you look at the monthly, we're extremely bullish here. We're just experiencing turbulence at the previous all-time high, which is very reasonable. As you can see, this was another area where we had previous resistance at, and we dumped from there. So dumping from these highs is nothing out of the norm when it comes to crypto price action. Don't know where my line went here, but something like that. Anyways, E still looks good. Um, Nothing to really worry about here. Something to note about how you could see this coming as well is we made a higher high here, and not only that, but we made a lower low on the RSI here. So you had divergence here. Whenever you make divergence, I'm going to make videos on all the different price action stuff that I use. Um, so I'll do a more in-depth one. Honestly, divergence is pretty simple, but whenever you make divergence, the target is a new low. So here within the range, the low is here. Okay, we took that out. And that's always the target when you're trading divergences. So if you're trading on smaller time frames, it's the same thing. Obviously, the lower the time frame you're on, the less likely it is for the divergence to play out. But generally speaking, divergences on the daily play out pretty nicely. And the thing to note about divergences, actually, I'll get more into that into my other video, but um, you can see it here too. But anyways, I'll go over to XRP. This is another big altcoin. XRP. I don't know what it is about XRP, but it loves doing, you know, descending triangles. Uh, Call it trend lines. I don't know. I don't really like trading trend lines. I'm more of like a levels trader, but it, in my opinion, once it breaks through this trend line here or descending triangle, it's gonna start to pop off. And that'll probably be around the same time, Bitcoin's gaining levels or ETH is gaining levels as well. And XRP is one of those ones where it starts moving very fast and very aggressive. So it's definitely something to look out for. And you can see some of my fib ranges here just to have an idea of how high it could potentially go. I don't think it'll go any higher than $10. I don't think it'll get to $10 to be honest. I think at most we might get to $8 somewhere in here. But who knows, right? Aside from that, I'll go through the Bitcoin dominance just because altcoins. This is the first time in a long time we've seen the Bitcoin dominance breaking down here significantly. That is, it broke this higher low here. Now it's gonna come back. I'm not really sure if the Bitcoin dominance respects structure as much as like a normal chart, but if it did, I would be expecting something like this, coming back, testing this range, and just skadooshin down here to this level. And during this time would be, the time to take profits on your altcoins. In my opinion, I'm not a financial advisor. Obviously, I'll probably leave a disclaimer in the description. Yeah, other things that I use for Bitcoin is I look at this chart here, which, as you can see, every time we've been near a top, we've been in this overheated zone. We're not even close to that right now. Same here. Kind of just fucking around down here, waiting for this final leg up. But aside from that, I'll go over some of my other charts that I have here that I use for more longer term views. There's some of this stuff I got from other people, some of this stuff I made on my own. It's kind of a mixed match of everything, but super trend here on the weekly, as you can see, whenever we're green here, we're going up. Green, we're going up. Red, start going down. Red, start to go down. See, we're all still green here. Nothing to worry about. We are printing red here, which is not that good because it could lead to something like that. But ultimately, still looking good here. Go over here to the DEMA. And on the DEMA, you'll see that we actually broke this level here, and it doesn't close for 7 days. But if we close below this, does look a little bit bearish. But usually when you close below it in a after making an all-time high, then it would be looking a lot worse. And then you also have the stochastic RSI up here. This would be on the 2-week time frame. So if it starts to claim underneath here, it starts to look not as good. But overall, everything is looking good, and I would expect continuation in the long time frame. Thanks everybody for watching. If you could smash up that like button and subscribe, it would be much appreciated.